So good morning, everyone. So welcome to this, seventh session on business analysis. So today, what we're planning to do is we're going to work on visual design. After visual design, we're going to do a little bit of presentation skills. So I'm thinking I'll move this here. And after this, we will do data analysis piece. And then we will look at, okay, I think tools is for tomorrow. So let's spend time to do data analysis and explain to me what is your understanding of data analysis, etc. We can also discuss this further. We will do that. So let's start with a simple process. Now here is where, I need your participation. So if you're sitting quietly, there is no energy for me. So what you have to tell me now, I'm going to ask for certain scenarios. We'll create it on the spot. So visual representation is very important. So all that information that you capture, let's say as a business analyst, you have to listen to people a lot, read, and also read a lot of documentation, whether it's on internet or whether it is already built project documentation. So there's a lot of information that you consume, and then you have to come up with some really good, crisp summary of what you have actually read, right? So that's important for a business analyst. What we're going to do right now is use some basic information to create something visual. Okay, so how to do it in a PowerPoint presentation. We will also look at how to do this, how to do this in a Visio tool. So we'll see how this can be applied, right? What is the depth? So what is the advantage for you? What is the learning for you is next time when you get into a situation where there's too much information or even whatever information that is coming your way, you're able to create a one slide, for all the 60 or 100 pages of documentation. One slide. See how powerful is that one slide where you can visually represent information. Okay, that we will do today. Now, quickly, as part of interaction, quickly think of a process which everyone are aware of, and we could actually try that out here. Think about a process which all of us in this room know, and so which we can use to create a let's say visual representation. You get my question? So
Yeah,
in the
internet
chat
banking.
window, huh?
Internet banking.
Okay. Does everybody know this? Everybody resonates. So do one thing, use the chat window, post your topics. We'll pick one interesting topic. All of you, please post a topic which we need to create visual representation. Also, we'll look at different ways to do the same visual representation. Please participate. Nivedita has posted internet banking. What about the others? Vaishali, Rohit, Ashwini, Vivek. Payments. Okay, you BAs are really boring. Next. Everyone, Vaishali, Ashwini, Vaishali, we have been doing e-commerce a lot. Think about something else, something more creative. Vivek, please suggest something which is interesting. Everybody should understand these topics. Rohit has posted. Nivedita has posted. Ashwini is yet to post. Vaishali, can you think about anything other than e-commerce? We've been doing a lot of e-commerce. Vivek and AK, please think about an interesting topic on which we can create a visual representation, a process map of sorts. Really, come on. I want all of you to participate. Okay, inventory is fine. Vivek, Ashwini, who else is there? AK, can you think of an interesting topic? Come on. Okay, so among these topics, which one should we choose? All of you at least vote for that. Payment. Anyone else? Feedback, quickly feedback. Which of these topics should we do? But see, you also need to help me out here. As we do this visual representation, I want you to help me out. Okay. So payments part, let me pick up internet banking. No, let's do payments itself. Who knows payments flow very well? Anyone on the call? Payments flow. Who gave me payments? Rohit, can you help me out?
Yeah, sure, Prashant. So payments. Why
Let me quickly write it down. Okay, so
Yes.
I'm your BA for today. You're the client who's giving me requirements on payment. Please tell me, sir. How does it work?
See, payments kind of integration is expected by a lot of clients in their regular businesses. And let's say for a third party client, they want a payment associated with multiple cards, multiple accounts, and uh, any other way of most of payments in a single page, like a bill or right, Prashant?
Sorry, come again.
See, like third-party integration payment register, we have to integrate with the client. So, whatever orders are there, whatever bills are there, so they can pay on that part. So, in payments, customer or client can make payment by many ways, by credit card, by debit card.
Okay, is it right to say there's third party, which is basically your UPIs and
Yes.
what?
UPI, credit card.
Credit card will come under bank, or will they be part of third party?
Just open any other page.
You repeat that. You repeat what you said.
Let's open any other web page. See how it works.
I'm not able to hear you well. So I understand this third party, which you say UPIs, then you have integration with a lot of clients. So I'm assuming, let's say a retailer from where you shop, then you have a customer who is actually buying. Okay. So then you are having banks which are basically authorizing these credit cards, correct?
And validating.
Yeah, so you have a credit card issue and validation. Okay, let's say this is credit card validation. Purchase validation. Also, we have
Validation as in, for OTP. Validation
Yeah,
is
and
for
we
OTP
can add
and other stuff, right?
authorization also in that validation part.
here, no authorization. Okay. Okay, makes sense. So they're authorizing it. Also, are we looking at, let's say MasterCard, Visa, etc. are your pipeline gateway, right?
Network providers, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Network providers. What else? So let's say for the time being, this is the process. Okay. So now quickly, I didn't know much
Clearing
about
and
this.
settlement.
Huh?
Clearing and settlement.
Who is doing that? The bank is doing, no?
Yeah. Clearing house.
Okay, what is that? Accounts payable, accounts receivable. Yeah. Okay. So accounts payable, accounts receivable. This is what it is. So now next, what we're going to do. Quickly tell me one flow which we can use. There are multiple flows here. Now tell me which flow to use first. Which flow shall we do first? Come on, quickly. BAs. Which flow shall I try first? There'll be multiple flows, no? Yes or no?
Yes.
So tell me, what are those flows? Tell me. One is, okay, let's go with the standard one first. Let's go with the happy path. Okay, you know what is a happy path, right? All of you?
No, Prashant. No, I don't.
Happy path is
Without
based.
any.
See, happy path is, now I entered some information here. I'm directly going to save this and I'm going to close it. Close the application. That is a happy path. Now, if I don't save it and directly close it, that's an alternate flow. Then I don't do anything. I directly go to shut down and say power off. That is another alternate flow. So the regular flow or the happy path is to do the same activity, the expected activity. That is, it's like this. Somebody is asking you to go purchase something and come back from the mall, purchase a t-shirt and come back. The happy path is go straight, go to the mall, pick up the t-shirt, come back. That's the happy path. But if whatever is the deviation from that path is an alternate flow. And there'll be a lot of corner cases also. Corner cases are very rare cases which can still occur and you need to cover for risk. For example, your vehicle may get seized. Okay, or there may be a vehicle breakdown. These are exceptional or corner cases. You went to park your vehicle, you did not get parking space, so you went and parked outside. Then you went inside, then you figured the shop is closed, and then you went to another shop. That is an alternate flow. Okay, alternate flow,
so
but you still purchase
usually,
yeah.
So usually we'll follow the happy go path or happy go flow. And when are the use cases where you use alternate methods or alternate flows?
Is that a question? Always.
Yes.
Always you have to find out. You remember if I told you user story, you're writing multiple scenarios, right? So those multiple scenarios are nothing but all these different scenarios that you want to capture.
Right, right.
Okay. So when you take a story saying that the the ability to search for a product, while searching for a product, there are multiple permutation combinations. So those permutation combinations is what you will capture as part of scenarios. So that's when you got to use. So see, one powerful thing that I learned here is there are two main things that I learned. One, see, earlier what we used to do, we used to insert smart art, right? We used to have smart art, which is basically all your regular flow charts, etc., that you automated. You can use, enter the text. Now I'm trying to move away from it and see you can create better visuals. Okay, so I'm going to say, I think that you're already aware, so I will not get into that. So one is using shapes like this. So I'm sure you're already aware, and please go on mute if you're not talking. Okay, so what are we doing? So mostly we are actually creating a flow chart. So when I create a flow chart, let me show it in two methods. Okay, first one is, you remember, always there's a start. Now somebody quickly help me understand it together, then you help me refine it. Customer visits a store. Customer selects a product. Salesperson builds the product. Card swipe. Via MasterCard or Visa channel gateway. Here is where the fight happens now. Most of them, this is the reason why we don't use American Express as much in India, because it's not widely accepted. That's the only reason. So card validation via MasterCard and Visa gateway. And then what happens after this? What is there? Validation, authorization, yes. Purchase authorization. Okay, after this, after purchase authorization, what is happening is there are network providers. Purchase authorization, there is network providers. Okay. Now that's network providers for you. After this is purchase complete. Okay, so let's go with this. So now you can say, hey Prashant, we can do this on Visio also. Yes, correct. We can do this on Visio. That's one way to do. Now you folks don't have Visio, for example. How do you do it? Also, when you're doing PowerPoint presentations, this will also be useful. what I'm going to show you now. Are you clear so far?
Yes.
What we're trying to do? Okay, so very simple. Okay, so this is typically how you will do it. Now you're saying customer visits a store. So I'll show you interesting ways to, make your presentation look better. So there is an icon option. Okay. So here there is an icon option. Click on that. First we'll look for customer. So let's look for let's do this. There are multiple options. It's up to you, your creativity, how you can do this. So it's slightly time consuming, but once you get a hang of it, you will know how to do this. Why I'm showing all this? This is the way. If you don't represent properly, nobody. Have you observed something? When there is something visually appealing, people get attracted and read that information, or want to consume that information. It looks a lot more sophisticated. So here, that is what I'm trying to show, how you can do that. Customer visits a store. Now let me see if there's a store option. I'm definitely sure there's a store option. So there's a store here. See, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, customer visits a store, selects a product. Let's do one thing. Let's select something. Let's say so now you're selecting a product. Ensure uniformity of the image. Now ensure the height, etc. is perfect. Okay, it should look like a really professional image. Yes, where I'm mentioning salesperson is there. Okay. I think it is 11. Salesperson checks the product. Now is card swipe. Card swipe. Folks, just hang on, okay? So now where were we? We were actually looking at salesperson now checking out the product. Now we have to do the billing, right? So salesperson checking out the product, card swipe has to happen. So how do you do the card swipe? You're basically, let me see, is there a POS? No, there is sale. All these are important for us. So we pick that up. Here. What is next? Next is card swipe. Card swipe is going to be here. Now you see how these red lines automatically align when you actually center it to the other images, automatically there will be a red line. So that is your cue to understand that you are aligning that image. Once you've aligned that image, now what you're going to do is put the same text here. Let's say, no, let's leave that. Okay, so there's card swipe. Then we want to indicate authorization, validation, etc. So let's check that. Okay. I'm just choosing this. Let me know if I miss out something. Then we're doing bill generation. What is after bill generation? After bill generation, we are going to do, okay, finish. We can even say purchase. Unless you want to add something more, this should suffice. Okay. So here what you can do, add some color. the same information. I'm grouping it now. I grouped the images, so it's easy to move around. Whenever you want to place it anywhere here, you want to place it here, you can place it here. So you see, this is a great way to kind of represent visually information that you want to see. Now, this is a combination of offline and online interaction. Okay, so very little online interaction that you are seeing. So let's say if it's a technical story, also you can do that. There may be fewer options here. Let me show. Let's see. There are some options like some database, right? You will have some options. I'm not sure you'll have everything. So this is good. So yeah, see, so you have some options here which you can play around with. So should be okay. You should be able to, leverage this as well. You don't have anything else, or sometimes you want certain things to look good on the presentation. This is more than what you need. Along with this, if I was to say, this looks a lot more professional, okay, and gives you a lot of information to talk. Along with this, sometimes you want to explain a little more, you can add some more text here saying that salesperson validates product ID. Salesperson validates for product ID also. Okay, so this is also possible. Now, instead of doing a lot of different boxes, you can actually do this as well. Okay, so this will also be a good way to represent information. It looks very professional. When you do it, people will be more than happy to read such information. It's a lot more easier to consume instead of just text and boxes. Okay, so this is the quick way to understand how to go about creating visual representation. Okay, this is on the PowerPoint presentation. Now let me show you how to do it on a Visio. Any questions so far? Are you good? Yes, no?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Prashant.
So you go attend a visual design session separately. People will charge you 30,000-40,000 and teach you the same stuff. Okay, and they'll make you do permutation combinations of the same stuff so you understand. Sometimes you have to do it in writing, but because we BAs have to do it visually, we need icons. This is one way to do it. Also, there are other ways to do it. Okay, there's something called illustrations. You can use a lot of one such illustration is draw.io. I think it was draw.io. Sorry, it was Undraw. Undraw illustrations. So here what you do, it's an open source. You can pick a lot of the icons from here. So this is Undraw is a website where you can go pick. Now let's say I wanted to create so it's always, it depends on the keywords that you're using for searching this. So you'll get options like these where this is another great way to kind of come up with let's say something else. Retailer. Let's say I wanted to download one of these, so I download a PNG version of it. Okay. Now we will do what is called as context diagram. Context diagram is basically helps you understand the context in which the application has been created. Context diagram also explains to you, also gives context in terms of where is your application or solution and who are all the stakeholders or systems interacting with it. For example, here, slightly mundane. Okay, retailer. So tell me, who are all the stakeholders for the credit card company? Folks on the call, who are the different stakeholders for a credit card company? Or let's say credit card purchase. All on mute.
Customers.
Okay, so here what I'm going to do, let's say customers. Okay, so here is customers. Customer, okay. So what we are doing is we are trying to understand the meaning and context in which we have to create this and then look for the right images. Okay, illustrations is done like this. All the storytelling can be done with this format. Okay, so you have the credit card. Please stay with me. We're going to. Let's look for banks. These are good illustrations, na? So you can use, state-of-the-art illustrations to say the same thing that you want to convey. It does more magic. Okay, so you have the bank, you have the customer, you have the retailer, looking for credit card company icon, credit card. Come on. It's all open to your imagination, how you want to represent information, all up to your creativity, because you have to make it interesting for people to consume. Okay, stay with me. I'm finishing up this. This is called context diagram. So you basically providing context to whatever you're doing. This can be applied as a overview, like you want to provide an overview on credit card cash process. So you're creating a BRD or you're creating some sort of visual representation for your stakeholders. So this makes a lot of sense. I sent you back. Okay. Credit card company, yes. So who, bank, credit card payments is a collection. Okay, customer, retailer, banking. What else is missing? Network providers, yes. Master or Visa. Integration by a lot of clients. Third party UPIs. I think we need integration, right? Let's say something like this. Okay, so these are you created a group. This is bounded. So group it together. Grouping it together. Okay, so here is where you're showing, okay, who else is there? Credit card payment customer, retailer, network provider, credit card company, banks. Then you have, do we have, um, now don't faithfully necessarily, have to look at content team as content team itself. You can use this even for say marketing. I want to represent this saying, marketing team providing different offers for customers. So I'm going to put up. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be a lot of offers, cashback offers, take, coupons once you make a purchase on credit card, blah, 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 and things like that. So let's look at this as a marketing agency selling offers. Okay. Marketing agencies. Marketing agencies, then what else is there after marketing agencies? Anything else that we can include for credit card company? Who are the other stakeholders? See, one is credit card payment. So this is only one of the many sites. So you will have many such illustration sites which you can actually leverage. Okay. At the time being, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this and connect all of this. Arrows are not required actually. If you see, there are better ways to do this. Seeing which is a better way to. All your creativity. Well, I don't think it's a good idea. Everything is here. Everything is just here. Let's pick one such thing. This is just to say that they're all part of a network. Here it's all open to your imagination. This is the next level where nobody will tell you as a BA whether you have to do this. But if you can do something like this, this will stay in the mind of people for a very, very long time. This is the way you create a differentiation for yourself. You can do that, or well, this is literally spoiling all the good work that you've done. So you don't need this. So let's leave it at this. When you're talking, you know these are the networks. Unless you want to strongly connect something, you can say just that this is the network. And let's add a few. Why to hesitate? Ensure how you are adding these lines. These lines should also look neat. Okay, so this is another way to represent. So what is context diagram? So here you're telling a story about, let's say, the credit card company. Just trying to highlight this, putting this in presentation view. Anyway, so this context. This is called context diagram for credit card company. Let's say you are somebody representing the credit card company and want to show who are the different stakeholders or systems interacting, then this makes sense. Now, let's say you want to put your application at the center. Let's say it's an XYZ application. You're going to put that at the center and then show all the different systems and users. Or this side, maybe you can represent users. This side, you can represent systems to show who are all the different users. It could be purchase team, finance team, marketing team. There could be different sub teams also within these departments. It could be a payment system. It could be a compliance system. It could be a purchase system. All this interacting with this particular application that you're building, right? So holistically, this can be used to tell a big, big picture story also. So context diagram can be done like this. Also, you can use this for creating any sort of process map, experience for your team members. Okay, right now we'll take a quick, 10-minute break, come back, and then we'll go through the rest of the session, which is, what are we planning is one is data analysis, the other one is presentation skills. I think we should be able to do justice. Okay, so I'll pause the recording for now. Once you come back, we'll go through the remaining. So if you remember, we were talking about illustration. So these are all the different sites you can look for illustration. So each of these will give you different images which you can use and make your visual representation that much more interesting. All right. So this is what we looked at as cards process. We looked at a context diagram which can also be created. So these are certain ways to go about creating visual representations which are very appealing. Now let's look at creating some presentation skills. Okay, I'll give you a 10-minute touch on presentation skills, and then I'll get into data analysis part. As part of, I think most of you are aware on how to use PPTs. So only one or two things that I will teach you here is, anybody on the call? Anybody is able to, are you all able to hear me?
Yes, Prashant.
So now give me one topic on which we create one slide, any topic. Any topic, just say something. So any topic which you like. Oh my God.
This Olympics.
Politics. Okay. Let's look at politics. Okay. Politics, we'll look at, let's say, Karnataka. Which Bommai, right? Basvaraj Bommai. Looking at Basvaraj Bommai. Okay, so what can we do now to make this look interesting? What all can you do?
His picture can be added.
Add a picture, right? Go to add a picture. Okay. We'll have to put an unhappy face of Yedurappa because he's exiting. no special reason why we selected politics. Is I think it just came out. One of you suggested on the fly. We are creating this. Into how would you typically do this? Align it here, right? What else can you do to this? How can you improve this? Is there a way to improve this? Does this
By
look
putting margins,
by putting margin? Anything else you can do to make it look better?
putting arrows,
Okay. Anything else, folks? Others? Anything else? Arrows, this thing. Okay, let's say I put this. Okay. Does this look okay? Little bit?
Yeah.
Fine, right? Now I'm going to change this a little bit to make it look a lot more interesting. What I'm going to do is going to add Yediyurappa's photo. Now I'm going to show you a site, Pixabay. Similar, there'll be a lot of free images sites. Where you can look up for different information. Let's go back to politics. This is a free site, free image site. Okay, this okay. Why you need to go to such sites? You get high resolution images. So when high resolution images are there, your presentations look really good. Remove that, that's not needed. there's an option called design. Okay. So let's add that and see how it works. Let's take a blank presentation. Ideally, it should work. Now, this design idea option is there, which will make this whole setup very interesting. So it's an auto suggest. Let's do this. So ensure you leverage this idea or this feature. The same thing. See, automatically it is still generating other ideas for you. As you're doing that, this is a feature which is available with Office 365 only. So you can do this. You can apply this in any format, any form, any situation, any those things. So you can use this. Similarly, you can use it for the other images which I gave you. This is just an example of how you can magnify the whole experience. And you can even make it big like this, or just change that back. See, you can play around with designs here. So this way, you can create more professional photographs. Sorry, slides. Any questions? Is this useful?
Yeah, it is good so far.
Okay, so one thing is we looked at how to use icons to create this. We looked at context diagram to create this kind of visual diagram. And then whenever you create PPTs, use the design feature, use high resolution images from, let's say, Pixabay or any other free high image websites when you want to convey some information. All right, so I'm going to delete this. I'm not really comfortable with politics. So this is the first half part of it. And then I covered presentation skills part of it. I think presentations, as you do, try to represent as much visually as possible, and also use your smart art. Smart art is very important. If you have too much text, try to use the smart art to basically improve the whole experience. Instead of putting it in boxes like that, use this, change it, and then you can also add some color to it, to make it more visually appealing. What I'm trying to teach you here is how to make things more visually appealing, make it more visual instead of using text. So these are some of the skill sets that you can use. Now let's switch to data analysis, please. Now, what do you understand by data analysis? Anyone?
Analyzing the data. Yeah.
What kind of data analysis have you done?
It's like so I have done a. Yeah, please Sorry. proceed, Vaishali.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about like the competitors, means the business competitors data about like the kind of reach they are having in market and all.
Okay. So see, I'll show you some of them. So data analysis is basically, see, we are so much stuck on, different tools that we can use. for data analysis, right? We'll use, see, one is you need to know as a business analyst, you need to know SQL, okay, or SQL, whatever. So you need to know basic SQL. You should know how to select. You should be able to, extract information, at least see what information exists in the database. So you need some basic SQL skill sets. Along with that, what's more important is another thing is tools knowledge. So tools knowledge, you can pick it up on the go. What's more important to understand is what is the problem you want to solve. Okay. So that makes the whole experience. How many of you use Pivot, Excel Pivot?
I use it. I still
You use it.
yeah.
So now, are you able to see this Excel that I've opened?
Yes.
Now quickly look at this information and tell me, what do you understand? Excuse me. All of you quickly look at this Excel and tell me, what do you understand? What does WO stand for? Maybe work order. What does it tell you? Work order for? For a particular district, and there is a lead technical person or tech lead who is actually handling these work orders and performing these services. When was it requested? This is the requested date. This is the work date. This is more like your field service management, like your Eureka Forbes agents, right? They go out in the field and, kind of address the work orders created. So let's say the customer has requested something on 1st of September and you have worked on it on 15th of September. That's what it says. So somebody called Khan, who was from North District, has received a work order A00100 to perform this particular service. It was requested on September 1st, but it was performed on 15th September. Now the number of labor hours, how many technicians? There were 2 technicians. Number of labor hours was half a day. What was the parts cost involved in replacing? And what was the payment method? What is the wait time? 14 days between 1st September and 15th September. Then there are labor rates, labor costs, labor fee. Then there is parts fee, total cost, total fee. So what you need to understand is, what is this information? What is this information all about? That's the first step to understanding what is the information that's available. What is it trying to actually convey? That is the first step to data analysis. And you also need to check if the format is in the sorry, my bad. You need to check if the data format is correct, or you need to cleanse it a little bit. For example, here you want to maybe change the date format, or you want to just keep this as integers. So those things you will take care. After this, you need to, let's say, run a pivot. Pivot is the most basic way to do some sort of data analysis. Now let's try to figure out what kind of intelligence you can get out of this information. Let's say I put work orders. Let's say I want to move it here. I'm going to move lead text. This is one way to look at the number of work orders per tech lead. Now you want to do this by district. So we can put it in the columns phase. So this way it gives you a good breakup of district wise, who are the different tech leads, what are the different count of orders that is available to them. Okay, so this is one way to look at. Along with this, you can also insert a pivot table. This is a basic level of data analysis that you can do. Create a pivot, create a bar graph to explain that who are actually doing more work, who are doing less work, based on which district and so on. Okay. So this is a basic level of data analysis. I'm sure most of you would have done this kind of work already. Right. So going back again, you can show field data. You look at other information. Okay, you could look at, let's say, total cost. It's sum of total cost.
Prashant, can you tell me how did you bring the chart based on this pivot values? One
So
second,
basically,
please.
you click on this. Okay, you click on the value,
Okay.
then go to insert.
Okay.
These different charts here.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Then select one of the charts.
Yeah.
So you can do that. Just play around a little bit. You'll see that everything will not make sense. Now this is looking too huge. I mean, it can tell you numbers. Now what is actually doing is giving you total cost that has been collected from customers. Also, how many work orders. I can do it like this and remove this total cost. It's looking too big. Okay, this is one way to do it. So there's a lot of permutation combinations you can try on this. More importantly, here itself, you can do a lot of, conditional formatting, etc. before you get to this piece. So every time you want to change something, go back, click on show fields, just keep drag and drop. I want to add warranty labor. It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to add something random like this? No. So this is something that you get with practice, but every time you have an Excel sheet, you have an opportunity here to play around with information. So this is the basic information that you can do on an Excel. Now let's see how we can do that on, let's say, Power BI. I think I have Power BI. I have my own account here. So I'm into Power BI now. Try Power BI for free. Anybody used Power BI before? No. See, you can see this is very, very interesting. Very nice way to represent visually all the information. Now for basic work, right? I already took this sample data work orders. Already I've uploaded. So let's say I want to create something new. I clicked on get data. Okay. Firstly, see, there are multiple options here. One is, let me go back. So this is your landing page. In the landing page, you can create a new report. You will have these sample work orders. I have a workspace there. I've already created some of the recent files. You'll see that this is a report. This is a sample work order which I have loaded. Okay. Then there are again other reports that I have. So if you have loaded reports, it will exist like this. If it's in an Excel format, it will be like this. And you can also create data sets. Data sets is nothing but, can I combine multiple tables like work order information, customer information, can I tell you that for which customer in the last 6 months, how many such work orders were raised? So I need to take customer information, which is a separate table. Then I will take work order information, which is a separate table, and try to maybe link that and combine that information and create my own data set. Data set is when you're tapping into different sources of information, combining that so that you can slice and dice and create intelligent reporting. Okay, so one basic way to do that is, let me show you. So this is, you have to click on data sets and you can create a new data set. Okay, there's another, so you can click a published data set, or you can also manually enter data. Manually entering data, like copy pasting from Excel, also is possible here. See, I copied this information from Excel. I went to Power BI and I just pasted this here. I want to use header as first row. Okay, I want to use header as first row as header. Okay, what happened? Now I was able to paste this information because it's a small amount of information. I can create a, now I'm actually loading this information. Now I can create a report from this. Now there are other ways to do and get data. You can directly connect to databases and extract information, and you can combine different tables from the database to create your own data sets. Now this table is going to show me all this information. See, this is auto-populated information. If I go back to the data, see, this is, okay. So this way, these columns have not picked the first row. So that's why it's showing column 1, column 2. Let me go back to creating. Don't save. I'm not going to save this. Now, there are different ways to do this. Creating new content is to files. I can use CSV. I can use Excel. I can use databases. I can connect to it. Now you can pick a local file. You can use OneDrive, SharePoint, etc. to get this information. Since I've already created it, I have created some reports already. Let's look at this. Retail analysis sample is a report. Let me go back. This is this is what I created. So let me show you work orders. Whatever we saw in the Excel, now we've loaded this information. It's here. So work order dashboard. So automatically, so when you edit, when I clicked on edit here, you will see that once I load that information, I want to create reports, you will see these fields, which are basically the payment. So automatically my Excel got picked up, and these are the different tables that were created. You see, automatically it used its intelligence to create segregate that information. Work order information as separate. It created labor rates as separate, payment as separate, service as separate. I didn't do anything. I just loaded an Excel. Now you see automatically there is a combination of this. Now, when you try to drag and drop some of these aspects, it will not work. For example, let me create something here. Let me create a line chart. Okay, so there is a new line chart that appeared here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take payments, add it here. Okay, and then I'm going to add lead tech. So when I'm adding payments and lead tech, these tables data are not going hand in hand, and therefore this is failing. So let's see, let's try this out. I'll remove lead tech. Let's see if it will work. So this is also not working. So it's in a way. Let me go back to this, right? I'll click district and I will click labor cost. Now it is making sense, right? So now some things which you can actually combine and visually represent, it's going to show up here. If there is no common information between these two tables, it may not pick up. Okay, so let's not get into the logic. Sometimes you can also do customization. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that I picked up district, I picked up labor cost. It was able to beautifully represent this information. So the Power BI is as simple as this, where you're doing a lot of drag and drop. Now let's say you don't want to, there's also a filter option here where you don't want to filter on all the, you don't want to show all the districts. You want to select all, but you want to remove central. So central is gone. Or I want to even remove north. North is gone. So you see, you don't see central or north here. When I put it back, you'll be able to see central and north. So this way you can play around with a lot of permutation combinations on filters. All right. So this is pretty much what I wanted to cover today in terms of how can you create visualization? How do you look at basic Excel? What is more important as a business analyst is what is the information you want to show here? What is the data actually meaning? And what is the story you want to tell using this data? The tools are just a medium to represent this. You could use a Tableau, you could use a Power BI. Roughly, just like using your Jira or other tools, or using different process mapping tools, there will be slight variation, but roughly it will be, having these features where you can do a lot of drag and drop, apply different visualization, manipulate different fields, etc., and play around a little bit. What's more important is how do I tell a good story with the data that is available? Who are the stakeholders? Now, I want to tell a good story around this. This is the work order information that's available. I can obviously say that the labor cost and labor hours per district is like this. The central district has the highest labor hour and labor costs. Similarly, when I come here, I know that 32.4 or let's say 0.28% is only labor hours, among this. So this may not really make sense. So then you look at total cost per request day. So you will see that on Mondays to Thursdays, the number of the repair cost is pretty high compared to your weekend. Roughly on Fridays and Saturdays, the amount of repairs that happen are lesser or fewer in number, and the total cost is slightly less. So you may actually have a problem in here, and you may want to look at how do I increase sales in this space. So this is a good way to tell a story. Or you can look at this and say that we are spending a lot of our effort in a replacement kind of work. A replacement kind of work versus install or other places. So you will see the delivery part is very less. So is there scope to improve this at all? Or let's say Lopez is not having enough replacement work. Can Mishner or Lopez look at improving their replacement activities? What is happening? What are the problem areas? So this becomes the call to action. Then you will decide what strategies to work with. So like that, you will also see there's total cost and total fee. You will see that the wait time is basically, I mean, it's again, this is not telling a great story. The more the wait time, it's not even increasing the cost or something. Sometimes you may want to drop some of the graphs. So why I am showing this wide variety of visual representation is so you know what are the different kind of graphs that you can create. Ultimately, what is the story you want to tell people? That you need to understand. What is the problem? How can you fix it? What is the impact of the, what is the problem? What is the impact of the problem? How can we fix it? That's the good story you have to tell to your customers or any stakeholder. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to capture. It also depends, data analysis depends on your domain understanding, also your common business analysis skill set. So problem solving attitude, all this will help you do a better job with data analysis. Any questions for me? Okay, if there are no questions, I'm going to stop the recording.